Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Gore column in which we take the time to speak with small cap companies after they put out important news. And today we're talking about multiple press releases that have happened over the last couple of months. We're going to be talking with Howie Honeyman. He's a CEO at Forward Water Technologies, trades in Canada, FWTC. And hey, if you talk about water and you talk about science, this is the guy. He has a PhD in chemistry, a materials expert, over 50 US patents, and this is third early stage company. So if you know the problems with wastewater and water treatment and having to save it, then you know that the global water and wastewater treatment market is projected to grow from $285 billion this year to $465 billion in 2028. Why? Currently, over 40% of the population of the global population resides in regions that are marked under critical water stress. And it's only going to get worse. Population is growing. So we need treatment of water and wastewater in a way for mankind to meet the increased demand for these water resources. Enter Forward Technologies. If this is the first time you're hearing about them, more than just their mission statement of dedicated to saving the Earth's water supply, the company was founded by Green Centre Canada, a leading tech innovation center supported by the government of Canada. The company is in the middle of commercializing its proprietary forward osmosis technology for industrial uses. So it's important to understand this isn't a retail product. This is for big scale projects, and they're going to reduce water consumption by up to 90%. And you can imagine all the benefits that go with that. Some major initiatives already underway. In India, they've got an exclusive licensee over there. On the lithium side, they've got more than 6 NDAs signed with major lithium extraction companies. They got an engagement contract with Cornish Lithium. They've announced a development contract with a prominent Western Canadian lithium company. We don't know who that is. An early development testing project with a globally positioned mining company. So we don't know who that is. And all sorts of other great stuff. Howie, welcome back. Hope you had a great summer, my friend.
Yeah, it was a great but busy summer, George. Great to be here. Good to be here.
Hey, so, I mean, there's so much going on at the company, but a couple of press releases you've had lately, people might think they're just mundane press releases, but let's get into the details. FWTC was in Denmark visiting suppliers. Why was that important? What should shareholders know about that?
Yeah, it wasn't just a supplier visit. We were in Denmark visiting one of our membrane suppliers that we rely on. We use a membrane technology in part, but we used it as basically a summit meeting between our Indian partner, our Danish supplier, and Forward Water, who are all invested in seeing forward osmosis as a treatment technology get out into the industrial space. So what was really exciting for us is they shared their opportunities. There's multiple opportunities we were unaware of in sugar refining, as an example.
That's a first.
And it's really quite a complex process, but there's multiple opportunities within that process. And so we learned about what they're doing. They learned about what we're doing, and we see our Indian opportunities growing, other international opportunities growing, but we're all rowing in the same direction. So for Forward, what we get access to their business development as they get access to our business development. So it's a really unique and positive partnership. So we came away from that feeling really good. We're helping them develop some of their opportunities, providing information about how our forward osmosis works. They're bringing opportunities to the table, and we're figuring out how we can service those opportunities, both in Europe, elsewhere, and as well as in India. Our Indian partners have more than multiple opportunities, and they are demonstrating the technology on site as we speak. So really positive outcome. It's one of those things where you sit down, you're not sure where it's going to go, but you find out after a couple of days, you're all paddling in the same direction. You all see the same opportunities, and you're self-validating the way you interpret the market. They see the market the same way we see it. And we're really encouraged that anybody's opportunity that crystallizes is good for all of us. We'll bring each other into the opportunities, and that's really exciting.
And India, we all know, has got some major problems with water. You've got that, you've got that partnership with Goldfinch there, and that was your first major initiative before lithium was India. How much closer? How's the pipeline looking? How much closer do you think you are to commercialization over there with the opportunities?
Let's just remember, there's two things that are driving in India, right? It is 4% of the world's fresh water, but 19% of the world's population, and the amount of water is dwindling. It is moving, if not already, in a crisis mode. Secondly, there's regulatory drivers that are happening now. Enforcement is actually becoming part of the sort of the industrial profile in India. That leads to opportunities for our partner and subsequently us. Our partner, Goldfinch Engineering, they have all the fabrication capabilities when they came to us. They could build and put things together, which really accelerated our drive into India. And they are currently on site in India operating a commercial pilot with a client who has said they will make a purchase provided the pilot demonstrates exactly what it should. And we already know that it will, because this isn't new, right? So the final pieces of the puzzle are being put in place for that effort. It's super exciting. We actually earlier this summer traveled to India to iron out some final performance issues. We exceeded our partners' expectations in being able to provide that guidance, and they are at the final stages of their development with their first client, knowing that they've probably got about 5 or 6 additional clients lined up once this first domino falls down. So
I'm glad
really
you said that,
excited
because I was thinking the same thing. If the first domino drops, I'm assuming because nobody wants to be the first. I know, even at Gorcom, when we first started 20 years, no one wanted to be the first. Once the first came in, they all started falling. So is that how India you think might go as well?
Oh, I think the whole industry as a whole globally for us, everybody's racing to be second, right? And you know, it's the first, and you know, we're incentivizing all of the discussions we're having to get somebody to that finish line first, right? So we're worried about the first. We're not worried about the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Those are going to fall in line. When we get real field data, people have said, "Oh, that company made a buy decision. Well, we need to make our buy decision as well."
Part of that effort is continually marketing the company, showing up to major conferences, and you guys were at WEFTEC, which a lot of people don't know, but it's North America's largest water and wastewater conference. So, you know, I'm always curious how conferences like that go, because that's where you're meeting people for the first time, and to show off your technology. You know, what came of that conference?
So yeah, we had a presence. We were part of the Ontario Pavilion because we got some government support to get there. You know, we're still leveraging those funding opportunities, but we had a physical presence at WEFTEC, and it's an enormous conference for wastewater treatment space. 2 big things came out of that for us. One is, sector-wise, we're seeing a large drive to what's called MLD or ZLD, minimum liquid discharge or zero liquid discharge, and regulatory is pushing that. What happens in those processes is eventually you get such a concentrate of chemicals in your water, you can't treat it any further unless you use a technology like ours. So we're validating the need or the driver for the type of our technology. And we're seeing that. We talk to some strategic partners and users, people who want to help distribute our technology because they see it as a new piece of their portfolio that they require for their business. So a lot of great input and validation on what we saw the market, where we saw the market going, and how we fit into that. So that's really terrific. The other thing that we learned, talking to end users about competitive technologies.
I want to ask you about that. So let's, because devil's advocate, you're not the only guy, you're not the only game in town. You got George Com wastewater treatment, and they're saying they're the best. How are you guys signing? How are you sizing up against the competition when you speak to end users?
We're learning that, you know, from a black box perspective, dirty water in, clean water out, what happens inside. And there are some advanced membrane-based desalination technologies that are emerging, that are out there, that on the surface might do the same thing that we do, but we're finding out from the actual end users, people who've tried to adopt those technologies, there's all sorts of problems associated with implementation on a practical level. Not an unusual issue. We think at this point, we offer a far more competitive solution to treat those same wastewaters that are going through that black box. And again, you know, we need to get that field trial getting out there. And now we've started talking to some of these end users, and we actually are completing our equipment that is going to allow us to go on site and show those people that through basically a demonstration, a paid for demonstration, but at a commercial scale. And we've got that equipment almost completed. We're going to get out there into the field, and that's going to change their minds in terms of how simplistic our technology is compared to these competitive technologies.
So,
and I think that's just gonna get them really excited and move forward with us.
so on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy were you with the reaction from WEFTEC to Forward Water when you were speaking to George Com Industrial and so on and so forth?
My expectations went in a little bit low, but I would say we probably got a 9 out of 10. We've got strategics that want to talk to us, people who have been making water acquisitions, large international companies that want to talk to us, not necessarily about an acquisition, but a partnership. We've talked to end users who are like, I've got a real problem, and I'm mandated now by my management to solve this problem because of upcoming regulatory issues. So we're working with end users. And then we've got large equipment suppliers who come up to say, I need something like you in my portfolio. So how can we work together? So those are really great stepping off points for future discussions. So really quite happy. Never going to let my guys off with a perfect mark. So I'm going to say 9 out of 10.
I'm glad you said 9 out of 10, because some small cap CEOs go 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. It's just spectacular. And sometimes that's, you're not sure if you believe that. But you saying 9 out of 10 is very credible. I like that. I like that answer.
Yeah, at Forward Water, my only interest is discussing the truth of what situation we're at. I don't want to have to backtrack out of any statements that I make down the line, and that's going to be something that's just inherent in the company.
And by the way, that's what also comes with the experience of this being your third early stage company. You've been through this process where you want to report to shareholders, tell them how you're doing. And you probably learned the lesson a long time ago, under promise, over perform. Otherwise, people are going to be on your back, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the mantras. But the one that always kills me is the chickens always come home to roost, right? So if you just kick a problem down the line, it's coming back, and usually comes back a little bit more significant. So I just try to make sure that there's an honest reflection of the work that we're doing, not over promise, but not under deliver either.
A lot of small cap investors are very interested in the side of the company on the lithium side of the company. I mean, everyone understands India and these big industrial uses, and they get that, and that's great for sure. But in the small cap world, lithium is a very big topic today. And you've got multiple engagements there with very material companies. Let's talk about them if you can. If you want to kind of give us an update on how are things going with Cornish Lithium, how are things going with the prominent Western company and the global mining company, just to let everybody in on what's happening there.
Yeah. So look, just a little bit of background for the investors out there. Most lithium is projected to come out from aquifers that are located underground. And these aquifers are located all over the globe at this point, and everybody is looking in their local jurisdiction. But they all have the commonality that it is lithium that is dissolved or solvated with other salts in water. And that's what Forward Water does, is we treat heavily mineralized water or wastewater. In this case, it's going to be a source water. And we've been finding enormous response in our ability to concentrate those waters and make them more manageable down the line for the lithium extraction process, which is commonly referred to as DLE, but there's all sorts of various flavors of DLE. We're working with companies to show that we can work prior to the DLE process to give them a smaller volume to deal with, and post the DLE process to reduce the volumes that they have to deal with downstream in their process. And we have actively, we've got probably 8 to 10 discussions going on. But as you mentioned, there's 3 that are very prominent for us. And why are they prominent? They're prominent because we're actually receiving samples of their assets from their various process steps in our labs. We're doing the analysis on a fee basis, so this is revenue generating for us. These companies are asking us to do this work because they see it as valuable and paying us to do it. One of them is Cornish Lithium, which is a group that's developing the assets in southwestern England, and they've paid for engineering scale trials at this point, which we're nearing completion. We're very happy with the results. We have to get those results to our client and make sure that they see the same value, but we're very pleased with the early stage results that are coming out of that. The other companies who have asked to remain nameless, and that I have to respect that,
Of course.
They're moving quickly as they can. We're analyzing samples, and we're providing not only our treatment results, but we're providing some guidance in terms of water treatment as a whole for them, and providing them with a little bit more value other than just treating it using our technology. So we're exchanging samples, revenues moving back and forth for us. Small revenue, but still revenue nonetheless. Shows that there's skin in the game, and we're all advancing those projects to the next steps. Some of these companies have the ability to turn on a full-scale commercial project the stroke of a pen overnight. So these are really well-resourced companies that we're working with. And I think the thing I like to say when I'm talking about this is lithium is a gold rush. Like, it is really going to be the gold rush of this century.
And it's only climbing the next 2, 3, 4, 5,
Absolutely.
10 years.
And we're selling shovels. So, everybody's going to need a shovel to dig that, gold out of the earth. And our technology looks like it has really broad application across all of these companies. And it's not necessarily a competitive issue. We're just going to aid in making each one of these companies a little bit more efficient, reduce their operating costs, and like. So it's a really nice sector for us to focus on, and we're making really good headway with some of our partners already. And I'm really excited by that. My goal is not to diminish our effort on the waste side either, which we still think is really good, but it is a really prominent sector for us to work in.
And last time we spoke, you had more than at least 6 NDAs signed with major lithium extraction companies. So we're everybody we reach out to or reaches out to us, we have progressive discussions. So every client we've interacted with on the lithium front, the project has always moved forward, right? That's pretty good. You don't get
stage,
George saying thanks, no thanks, and dropping off. They're all moving forward.
At some level, yeah, absolutely. An introductory discussion leads to a technical presentation, leads to an NDA, leads to flow sheet analysis, leads to samples exchanging, right? That's sort of the progression that we're looking at.
Fair to say that the domino effect is on the lithium side as well, that if, Cornish or any of these other, the two big companies that are unnamed, fall, if those dominoes fall, do you think that'll also create a domino effect there?
I think so, and I think working with Cornish Lithium has been a fantastic relationship, really great company to work with. They've indicated to us that the way that they want to deploy the technology could be sort of an internal domino effect. If we're commercially successful with them, and we're working towards that, and they'll certainly have their side of this discussion. They've indicated to us that there would be multiple sales within their own company. So they're not looking at a single plant. They're looking at 5, 6, as many as 10 or 15 plants within their own operation, which would be it. I'd stay away from thinking about that because it would be both 200 and we'll see. But these are not small sales if we're successful in any of these events.
All right, and I wish I could ask you about timelines and all that, but I know you can't talk about that. But I'm so interested in what's going on the lithium side. It's unbelievable.
It's a really interesting industry, right? It's emerging. There's not incumbent technology to displace. It has to have a really excellent ESG footprint to get the lithium. You can't get a sustainable material by polluting up the world, right? So all of these companies want to. I think it's a better way to look at it, but they're both forced to, but they want to. But a sustainable water conservation, low energy process in place to get this material, so we can all rely on the sustainable aspects that lithium metal provides to us through the battery technology. So it's a really interesting case scenario that's set up. They're all aggressive. They're all making the buy decisions, in the next 2 to 3 years, at least, if not sooner. And it's a race. It's a race. It's a race.
What I love about the lithium side,
humanity has to win, right? Like, we have to win this one.
Yeah, what I love about the lithium side is that's just going to be an emerging, it's a paradigm shifting, parabolic growing industry for the next 25 years. Yeah. Whatever wins happen today, if they establish forward, there's the potential to just be the go-to solution in an industry that's just going to blow up in the next 25 years as we race towards electric vehicles.
Yeah, you touch on something that's really, I've always looked at Forward Water's technology as Yeah, it's difficult to implement. Large scale technologies is difficult to implement. We're going to get there, but it's a generational return technology, right? You get established and you're there. You're there for 20, 30 years, right? And so I think that's one of the huge advantages developing a technology like this has. Lithium came along at a very timely way, and so we feel like we're on the wave, and we've got ability to remain on that wave. And I'll indicate just that that's true.
We're in Q4 right now. Well, decently into Q4. What is I mean, I know we've already talked about so much that's on the plate. Are there any milestones that you look? I'm not talking about sales, but any other major events that you hope to have accomplished here in Q4? I know your mobile demonstration unit is pretty much done. You're about 85%, so that'll be a big one when it's done. Anything else that investors should be looking for in Q4?
Yeah, I think what I guess to look for is, are we progressing on our projects as we said we were? Are our lithium projects moving from a small stage to a larger stage to the next stage? That's one. The other one that I think I'm really focused on is getting commitment for this commercial demonstration equipment on site at an end user. We're working with both at some engineering design companies in the United States. We're working with some mining companies here in Canada, and any one of those could evolve into a paid for commercial demonstration project. And that's the other key thing that I would look for, because that once we get that on site, we're operating it, not necessarily for generating revenue. We will generate revenue from it, but we get the data sets. We prove the technology works on site in the field.
Setting up the big sale. It's not the revenue generator.
Exactly. And I mean, those are, for lack of a better term, those are key indicators I would look for.
All right. Well, we'll be looking for that. And it's amazing. And by the way, your balance sheet, which is very important to discuss. We should bring it up for a second, because there are financial challenges in the markets and the capital markets around the world right now. And if you're George Com Industries and you're running on fumes, you may run out of fuel, period, because money's a little more difficult to come by. But you're pretty comfortable. You guys did a good job when you went public last year of making sure to cash up pretty well. Let's talk about your balance sheet just for a little bit, so people realize that you've got, as a founder, you're never 100% comfortable until cash flow is just flowing in. But in the meantime,
absolutely,
your balance sheet does give you some comfort, right?
We do. We've kept expenses and continue to keep expenses fairly low, while at the same time enabling the critical aspects of the business growth. So that plus what we accomplished in our initial raise, that gives us a timeline that I feel is reasonable. I'm never going to be comfortable looking at my balance sheet ever, right?
I never am. I'm all never.
But it does give us some breathing space and keeping our head well above water, and it gets us the key things that we need to do. Now, happy challenges. If we end up with an enormous, massive project, we'll have to look at how we finance that. But today, to get the business commercial, I think we're in a pretty comfortable space.
Well, congratulations on how far you brought the company to date. It is no easy feat. Anybody out there who's ever started a company or been part of a startup or an early stage company, the first ideas are great. George Com, we're going to make these widgets and we're all excited. But the really difficult part is, how do you even get in front of big strategics and big commercial and big potential customers? That alone can take years, let alone get to the stage where you got multiple NDAs signed, partnerships signed. I mean, you brought it right to the edge, pre-commercialization right there. And I can't wait to see you guys, move forward. Pardon the pun intended.
Yeah, I still lose sleep, even though it was my third sort of evolution. All I've gotten good at is working with very little sleep.
Look, I'll leave you with this. I watched a documentary with Steven Spielberg a couple of days ago. And what I found blow away interesting was, and it gave me comfort, and probably give you comfort, and everybody at home has been part of this. I thought he comes into his movies, he's got it all figured out, set it up, set the shot, next. Yeah, I got this. And he said he still goes into every shot, not every movie, every shot with some nervousness. And is he going to get it right? But he says you need that nervousness in order to make sure you're not complacent enough and you don't do the 100% job. When you have that little nerves, you push all the way through. So you're in that position. So you're the Steven Spielberg of small cap.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm that far, but you got to sweat the details every day, and you just can't let up. It's pop your head up every once in a while, make sure you're going in the right direction, but you got to sweat the details, every little one, all the time. I agree. It's good to know that. Yeah, maybe I share a small attribute with somebody who's successful as Steven Spielberg. So that's fun to know.
Well, keep being nervous, and can't wait to have you back, Howie, in the near future, buddy.
Awesome, George. I look forward to it. It's always great speaking with you, man.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Howie Honeyman, he's president and CEO at Forward Water Technologies, trades in Canada under the stock symbol FWTC. For those of you who are looking to start your due diligence, because there is a lot of great technology here. It's new technology. Look, even for the lithium world, it's brand new technology. So if you want to get up to speed, get over the company's profile page on Agoracom. We give you a good 1,000-foot overview summary, nice and neatly organized to understand this company. And then when you've got that base knowledge, head over to the company's website, do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.